Right now, someone watching this video feels like they're looking in a mirror and seeing a stranger. The person staring back isn't who they used to be before the abuse happened. If that's you, you're not alone. And more importantly, you're not broken beyond repair. Abuse doesn't just hurt your body or break your heart. It rewrites the story you tell yourself about who you are. It steals your voice, dims your light, and makes you question everything you once believed about yourself. But here's what your abuser never wanted you to know. Your identity isn't gone. It's just buried under layers of pain, fear, and lies they made you believe. Today, we're going through the 7 stages every survivor goes through when rebuilding their identity after abuse. Some of these stages will feel familiar, some might shock you, and others will give you hope for what's coming next. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly where you are in your journey and what to expect as you continue healing. Stage 1, the fog of confusion. The first stage hits you like walking into a room and forgetting why you came in, except this feeling never goes away. You wake up each day not knowing who you are anymore. The person you were before the abuse feels like a character from a movie you watched years ago, familiar but distant. Everything feels uncertain. You second-guess every decision, from what to wear to what to eat for breakfast. Your mind constantly replays moments from the abuse, but it also searches for who you were before it all happened. You might catch yourself staring at old photos, wondering where that confident, happy person went. This confusion isn't weakness. It's your brain's way of protecting you while it processes trauma. Your identity didn't disappear overnight, and it won't come back overnight either. The fog is thick right now, but it will lift. Stage 2, the anger eruption. Then comes the anger, and it's unlike anything you've ever felt. You're not just angry at your abuser, you're angry at yourself for staying, for not seeing the signs, for believing their lies. You're angry at people who didn't help, at the world for being unfair, at God for letting it happen. This anger feels dangerous because it's so intense. You might punch walls, scream into pillows, or feel rage bubbling up at random moments. Some days you feel like you could explode just from someone asking how you're doing. But this anger is actually healing. It's your authentic self fighting its way back to the surface. For months or years, you buried your real feelings to survive. Now they're demanding to be heard. The anger means you're starting to value yourself again. Stage 3, the grief that cuts deep. Stage 3 brings a sadness that feels bottomless. You're not just mourning the relationship or the abuse. You're mourning the person you used to be. You grieve the time you lost, the opportunities you missed, the version of yourself that got buried under trauma. This grief shows up everywhere. You might cry watching a movie, seeing a couple hold hands, or remembering how you used to laugh without thinking about it first. The sadness feels heavy, like you're carrying invisible weights everywhere you go. People around you might say, just move on, or focus on the positive, but grief can't be rushed. You're not just sad, you're processing a death, the death of who you were before, and that deserves to be mourned properly. Stage 4, the questioning everything phase. Stage 4 is when you start questioning everything you thought you knew about yourself. Were you really as smart as you thought? Did you actually enjoy those hobbies? Or were you just pretending? Are the friends you have now real friends? Or are they just people who stuck around out of pity? You question your memories, your feelings, your instincts. The abuse taught you not to trust yourself, and now you're wondering if anything you believed about yourself was ever true. You might look back at your entire life and wonder if you were living authentically or just playing a role. This stage feels exhausting because questioning everything takes enormous mental energy, but it's also necessary. You're not just doubting yourself, you're clearing out the lies so you can rebuild on solid ground. Stage 5, the rediscovery adventures. Stage 5 is where things start getting interesting. You begin experimenting with who you might be now. Maybe you try new hobbies, change your style, or speak up in situations where you used to stay quiet. It's like being a teenager again, but with adult responsibilities. You might dye your hair, rearrange your entire room, or suddenly become interested in things you never cared about before. Some people think you're going through a phase, but you're actually going through a rebirth. You're testing what feels authentic and what feels forced. Not everything you try will stick, and that's okay. You're not looking for permanent changes. You're looking for clues about who you're becoming. Every experiment teaches you something about yourself. Stage 6, the integration challenge. Stage 6 is where you start putting the pieces together. You're beginning to see patterns in what feels right and what doesn't. The new parts of yourself are starting to connect with the parts of you that survived the abuse. This stage is tricky because you're essentially introducing two different versions of yourself to each other. There's the person you were before the abuse, and there's the person you're becoming after. They need to learn to coexist and eventually merge into one authentic identity. You might feel like you're living a double life sometimes. With some people, you show your old self. With others, you show your new self. Integration means learning to be whole, regardless of who you're with. Stage 7, the authentic emergence. The final stage is when you stop trying to become someone and start being someone. Your new identity doesn't feel new anymore. It feels like home. You're not the same person you were before the abuse, but you're not defined by the abuse either. You've created something entirely new, a version of yourself that acknowledges the past without being imprisoned by it. You know your worth, you trust your instincts, and you make decisions based on what serves your authentic self, not what others expect. This doesn't mean the healing is over. It means you've built a strong enough foundation to handle whatever comes next. You're no longer rebuilding your identity, you're living it. What nobody tells you about this journey. Before we wrap up, there are some hard truths about identity rebuilding that most people won't tell you. First, some people in your life won't understand your transformation. They'll miss the old you, even if the old you was broken and hurting. Second, you'll have moments where you question if all this work is worth it. There will be days when you feel like giving up. Those moments don't mean you're failing. They mean you're human. Third, your new identity might feel lonely at first. When you start setting boundaries and living authentically, you might lose some relationships. This feels scary, but it's actually making room for people who can love the real you. Finally, your story of rebuilding your identity will become one of your greatest strengths. Your pain will transform into purpose, but only if you keep moving through these stages instead of getting stuck in them. These 7 stages aren't a straight line. You might bounce between them, skip some, or revisit others multiple times. That's normal. Healing isn't linear, and rebuilding your identity is one of the most complex parts of recovery. The most important thing to remember is that you're not trying to go back to who you were before. That person couldn't have survived what you survived. You're becoming someone stronger, wiser, and more authentic than you ever were before. If this video helped you understand where you are in your journey, smash that like button and subscribe. For more content about healing and growth, which stage resonates most with you right now? Drop a comment below and let me know. Your story might help someone else who's watching and feeling alone in their journey. And if you missed my last video about the 7 hidden signs of toxic parents, make sure to check that out next. Understanding toxic patterns in our families often connects directly to how we rebuild our identity after abuse. Thanks for watching, and remember, you're not broken, you're rebuilding.